Upgraded it to be the agency that didn't exist in the market. Like being with a client or hiring an agency is like a marriage. It's like having one wife or having three. So are you going to take care of three wives' tantrums, or you'd rather deal with one and understand that wife or that partner completely? So honestly, we've never done any kind of business development in the last 13 years.
Oh wow.
I remember I put in 1 lakh into the company account to start the company, and ever since then I haven't put in money again. And if I'm not satisfied, I just sometimes cancel a bill. I'm like, no guys, this just wasn't right. And one bad brand or one bad client can actually change the dynamics of your company. I don't look at any educational qualifications. For me, that person needs to be street smart.
Alright, so hello everyone, welcome to the Breaking Uneven podcast. We love to talk shop, uncover the beauty of failures, and play a few games. Today we have with us Tripti Bhatia, the founder of Detales. Tripti, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Awesome. So Tripti, you did your bachelor's degree in mass communications and media, jumped straight into the world of work, and now have been running Detales for about 12 years.
It's our 13th year now.
13th year. And well, as a side note, you're probably one of the longest standing businesses we've had on the podcast so far.
Oh, wow.
12 years is long, right? That's great. But since that's what's brought us here today, we're going to play a quick little game to get into details.
You're starting straight with the game.
Straight with the game.
Yes. So Twitter is known for its 280 character limit on every tweet, which makes it a little difficult to convey your thoughts. So you want to transfer this challenge to you. It takes about 20 seconds to say 280 characters. So you need to explain to us details in 20 seconds, but we won't make it easy. We also want you to use one hashtag and one emoji in your tweet. We have
the timer started?
No.
Okay. We have a stopwatch.
Ready?
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. Detales is a one-stop agency which can take care of all your promotions and all your marketing needs. Hashtag the best, another hashtag you'll never regret because no regrets, and emoji heart.
Nice.
Okay, not bad. Under 20 seconds. But I still don't think that would have fit into a tweet.
No, we changed the hashtag. It was
no regrets. Yeah, okay,
so
fair. So Tripti, now I'll tell you one difficult part about creating a brief for you, right? Your LinkedIn has just Detales and your college. So you're not active on LinkedIn.
Unfortunately, I'm not active. I don't have time.
But what is the first thing you did when you came out of college?
I worked.
Where?
I worked at a brand communications agency where I was doing marketing and PR. And social media just started at that point. So Facebook. So I was actually handling everything, which gave me a great perspective into it was a 360-degree perspective and not just one-sided. So at that time, the world was very different. Like a lot depended on PR. Marketing was tie-ups with banks and, marketing was more traditional. And social media was just Facebook groups. So, so much has evolved since then. And what I did when I started Detales was kind of take my learnings, but also see what the market currently needed and upgraded it to be the agency that didn't exist in the market.
You've said this before, but Detales, what it does is the idea of the agency that didn't exist was that advertising and PR were earlier functions of two different agencies,
yes.
Right? You wanted to bring marketing, advertising, PR all into a one-stop solution. But how do you promote yourself or promote Detales over the people that fame specialized agencies?
So I feel like being with a client or hiring an agency is like a marriage.
Yeah.
It's literally like a marriage, and I think that every single day you grow together. When you need to, it's like having one wife or having three. So are you going to take care of three wives' tantrums and three husbands, or you'd rather deal with one and understand that wife or that partner completely? So it's just like that. It takes years like months, years to understand a brand, for the teams to understand each other. Currently, and since we've started, actually, we like literally work as an in-house marketing like for so many of our brands, for all our brands. We don't even treat ourselves like an agency. If we take a brand on, then it's our responsibility to do everything. And I think people appreciate that. They don't want to deal with too many people. They rather deal with one person or one agency who can do it all. Because then we also have creative control, right? Like today, maybe I've come up with a really cool social media idea. But if I have to outsource the design, I don't know if it's going to be as per my vision. But if it's in my organization as a founder, I actually sit with them. I'm like, no, this doesn't work. Try this, try that. So, I have complete control of the client's narrative or my idea. So that's...
No, 100%. And the way you described it, I think like made complete sense, right? Like it's easier to deal with one partner and get most value from them versus like managing three different people and three different agencies. But like you said, back when you started, social media was completely different, and now where it is, it's completely different. So how has your agency pivoted or changed as social media has evolved?
So we've just landed up adding more verticals to the social media. So when we started, again, the focus was more Twitter and Facebook. Instagram was just, coming up. So we started Instagram slowly. Then we realized that we needed an entire creative division, maybe 2 years, 1.5, 2 years after starting Detales. So we started with one resource thinking, okay, just basic creatives, which then went on to a full-fledged branding division. Then, we decided we needed a copywriter, we decided we needed an ad specialist. So as per the time and as per how social media evolved is how we evolved as an agency. Just seeing what's needed and what the gap was in the market.
Interesting. So that means like when Reels started, there was someone that specialized. Yes. Nice. So there's a lot of like movement and change.
So we now currently have like a full-fledged production agency which does your Reels and mainly
short form content.
Short form and long form. So we also do a lot of documentaries for corporates, etc. So even though we are known for more lifestyle, but in terms of our production division, we do everything: corporate, lifestyle, everything.
Okay. And so speaking about the corporates and clients that you have, some of the companies that you've worked with, we absolutely love, like Yaucha, Kira Beauty, Kai, Indian Accent, and a lot more. And one of them was also Coco's Natural that we actually had on the podcast. Yes. So who was your first big client and how did you secure that?
So honestly, we've never done any kind of business development in the last 13 years.
Oh, wow.
So before we had a name for the agency, when people just got to know that, okay, I might be starting an agency. So we already had, I think, 7-8 clients before we had an agency.
What did you do in your previous company?
It was all just goodwill. So that's a joke.
Like having 8 clients to start with is incredible.
And ever since we started, it's just been all word of mouth. And it's touch wood. I started, I remember I put in 1 lakh into the company account to start the company, and ever since then I've not put in money again. So it's just been all word of mouth in the last 13 years. We've not done any kind of securing of clients or like BD pitches or cold calls, none. At least till now. I don't know if I have
to unheard of.
I don't know if I have to going forward, but till now it's been this way.
Which I think also ties well with the idea of you grow as, for example, if you're working with the Yaucha and Yaucha says that, hey Tripti, there's this new platform that's come up, they want this kind of content. And then you'll see, okay, 2-3 more clients want, and you'll be like, okay, I'll start a division. Anyway, I'll get clients for it.
So earlier, in the first year, we did, work with other agencies, and then I realized that I was giving it was such a huge chunk of work that it just made sense to have those divisions in-house.
No, that's really cool. So since you're a one-stop shop, right? Like for example, if I'm going to an agency for content and they'll come back to me saying that, okay, each per reel is this much, blah, blah, blah. Right. Now, obviously, I'm assuming you have project-based clients and retainer clients. Retainer clients are a little different because you'll decide a fee and then a certain list of deliverables within that. So that is different. But when it comes to project based, how do you? And this is something that comes to me because when I was in consulting, one of the things that we were always told to be very careful of is a client will ask you, okay, can you just do this little bit extra, right? And that's something that can completely take your margins out because that little extra ends up being too much. And that is something that not you, but your team needs to manage. So how do you limit your scope on a project-based thing so that it doesn't get out of hand?
I'm going to give you a very wrong answer.
You let it go.
For me, unfortunately, I just don't look at the money. For me, I'm like, okay, if a brand has come, if I need to make these 100 changes till the client is happy, I'm not happy. So that can be the team working on something 100 times or me working overnight on it. But for me, because everything in the agency has been word of mouth, I make sure that whatever, even if there's an issue or corrections or whatever, it's done to the T till the client says, okay, this is great.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure that at times that might put a bit of pressure, but I think for the most part, it should be fine, right? Like even I used to feel back then that, hey, if we do a really good job on this project, this company is going to come back to us for one more.
Exactly. And they'll spread the word, they'll tell 10 others. Yeah. I get a lot of flack from my team for this. Don't think it's easy. They keep telling me, why? And if I'm not satisfied, I sometimes just cancel a bill. I'm like, no guys, this just wasn't right. So, I get a lot of flack from my team for that. But for me, I just feel I have a very simple philosophy that if you work from your heart, maybe not today, but tomorrow, I mean, everything just comes to you.
Back, yeah.
More than just thinking about money, because when you start an agency, money is very important, and I'm not saying it's not. Of course, I know the importance of it when I have to pay the salaries at the end of the month at the rent. But it's very important to not keep that as your only focus. Like, you need to make sure that you're delivering on clients, you're delivering on what you're supposed to, rather than just thinking about, okay, this is how much I need to make from this client. And when people see good work, you are bound to get more work. And that's how it's worked with us.
Yeah, especially, I think it's worked for you, given that you've never had to do any kind of business development. You know that entire strategy is working for you because that word of mouth is helping you.
See, it's also a lot. Some brands who land up taking advantage, or some brands who don't land up paying. Like, there are lots of issues on the other side. Yeah, of course, it's agency life. Yeah. You have to deal with but then I guess with every bad experience, you also become a little smarter, and you also kind of tweak your processes. And
I feel like in today's world, like if you go back, let's say 9 years ago, right? When Yatra came to Details, I think at that point, the world was very different. Like if you had an agency and you had a good, like the agency client dynamic was good, you would stick on for 15 years, like just forever.
So our oldest client, we actually have clients who are 12 and a half years with us now.
Yeah.
Our first two clients are still with us. One is Woodside and Bonobo.
Oh, wow.
So touch wood again to that, Bonobo and Jamja. So all Jamja came in, of course.
You have a very nice niche of Bandra-based F&B.
No, Woodside actually we launched Andheri for them. That's when that was our first
very cool.
With them. So they've been with us for 12 and a half years, yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, is the world a little different today? Because what we've seen with startups and let's say 4 to 5 year old companies is they want to keep switching it up. It's very difficult to have a long-standing partnership in today's world with I don't know, maybe it's the mindset of the younger generation, or it could be just the spoil for choice, that you've got 10 different options the moment you ask one person, hey, can you give me a suggestion for a PR agency or a brand agency? You get 10 lists.
So there are brands that come, they switch, and then they also call us back after that when we see the difference. So it's very easy to talk big, right? But it's very important to also deliver consistently.
Yeah.
And brands and brand owners that see that and see value in that and believe in long-term partnerships, they're the ones who always succeed in the long run. There are people who are there for in that 1 year, 2 year game, even as brand owners, like brands that we handle. And they don't have a long-term vision, and it's just like a trend, like you said. Switch agencies, see who's,
Yeah.
But then you also know that's their mindset. So right now, I mean, when we onboard a client also, we try to make sure that the client is on the same wavelength as us. So we are also extremely picky currently about taking brands, because they say that one bad brand or one bad client can actually like change the dynamics of your company, because it puts that much more pressure when you're not on the same wavelength. So we are very particular about who we take on board, and we try to take people who have a long-term vision for their own brand also, because then it's easier to work with them.
Yeah, I think there are pros and cons also with
Of
the
course.
part of like being with an agency long term or not. Because I think there's one side of it is like, if it's not broken, don't break it. Like
Right.
if it's working for you, might as
Of
well
course.
just stick with the agency and see
Right.
it through. But then I think sometimes people also have that mindset, or like, let me try
Fresh
another
energy.
one. Yeah, new energy, see it out.
So it
But-
depends on, I would say that till, it's going well,
Yeah.
and hopefully it should when
Yeah.
someone's invested in your brand. Also, what's important is when a brand actually makes you feel like this brand is yours.
Yeah.
There are some people who, some brands that we worked with in the past who just don't, let you take decisions. They are very hell-bent on the way that they want to go, and then you always feel like an outsider and an outside agency. The second the brand owners or, the brand feels like yours, the work is like, you just feel responsible, right? It's your responsibility to make sure that brand does well. Because if the brand doesn't do well, it also comes on the agency, even if it's a bad product. But if it's not marketed well, if it's not, no, everyone's going to blame the agency to some level. That, okay, the launch wasn't great, or the marketing strategy wasn't good enough, the PR wasn't good enough. So it's very important for us to also make sure when we take up a brand, we are convinced. So I don't take up a single brand that I don't feel convinced about. Like if it's bad food, no. Because if I don't like it, how do I convince 100 other people to eat at your restaurant?
No, fair enough. And yeah, you mentioned this, I guess, twice, that you don't take brands that you do not like, or you're picky about the brands you work with. So what are like a couple of characteristics of brands that you would absolutely say like no to?
Someone called me recently and named my client and told me that, hey, so I'm starting a place, and so I was like, okay, can you tell me about it? So he said, yeah, it's going to be a copy of this place plus this place plus this place. And for me, that was the biggest red flag. I'm not going to take any names here.
Yeah.
But I said, listen, I handle that brand. I mean, I handle these brands, two of them that you've mentioned. And he's like, okay, I can name other brands that it's like. Sorry. It was the funniest call I've had in a long time. But I have a lot of people who come to me because they see the success of a particular brand that we've handled. And they feel like, okay, this is, can you just replicate this?
Yeah, I've replicated that brand, so can you replicate the effect that you had on them for us?
And just make sure it's a success like X brand. And I'm like, okay, but they also had a vision and they also had a great product. I helped amplify it. So if you don't have that, no.
And like what are 3 characteristics that you look for when you say yes to a company?
The founders. Like, that's the most important. Like, you need to have good founders who believe in you, who you believe in, who treat your team well. That's such an important thing to encourage good work or encourage.
It's underrated.
It's underrated, and how, but I'm very particular about this, because if the team feels demotivated all the time, if you're going to treat the team badly, it just doesn't, it just doesn't help at all. It doesn't help to motivate them, and they're never going to give you their best work. So I think the founders for sure. The second would be, of course, the product. Very, very important. And the third would be the vision. So one of the first questions I always ask people is, what is your vision, for your own brand? And even for our current brands, we do vision boards, at the start of the year or the end of the previous year. And we always try to figure what the vision is for that year and how we can help achieve those goals.
Very cool. And then, so if you have, let's say, almost a strict guideline that you follow to decide whether to take a brand on, we would assume that it's only going to be stricter for the talent that you bring onto your team.
Yes.
Right? And there's a couple of different things here, right? One, creative talent, tough to find, tough to gauge from a CV or portfolio even. Very tough to gauge.
Made lots of mistakes.
Two is client-facing talent. Again, tough to gauge, and you won't know how someone's going to be unless they're in a situation where a client is almost harassing them, right? So, because the talent that you need on your team is so difficult to gauge, how do you recruit people? Like, is there a philosophy that you have, or is there like a couple of traits that you look for and you're like, wait, this is I'm good. This person's good.
The vibe.
Yeah, you can. You can. Yeah. See, the vibe means what? That means instinct. You've been in this business long enough to have the instinct.
I do. And see, of course, I don't look at any educational qualifications. For me, that person needs to be street smart over book smart, because that's the nature of our, agency. So I need someone who's passionate about what they do. And when you talk to someone, you also understand that, okay, they have some sense of, they can, and everyone has different strengths. So you also understand, okay, this person's going to be good at client servicing, but this person's going to be really good at strategy. So you also pick people according to their strengths. And for me, it's that conversation that's very important. And then you know how passionate they are. For me, passion is the most important, because, if you're not passionate about this field, it's very hard to survive in it.
Yeah.
It's very demanding. Everyone thinks it's a party, but it's really not. It is. It's super fun, but it's also like, it means to have that fun, you also have to be very passionate about what you're doing. So the passion is very important, and in a conversation, you at least, you're able to gauge that. What you're not able to gauge is if they're going to leave in 1 year or 1 month.
Yeah. That is unfortunately that is true, something that's industry agnostic. It's true across industries. But I think another thing with creative fields is that for most people, right, the decider of whether they stick with creativity is it's a lot of work. First, you come up with an idea, then you have to get your team sold on the idea, then get the client sold, and that's like a 5% conversion rate for an average creative person. So it requires a lot of resilience to keep thinking, okay, fine, this idea didn't work, I'll try another one.
It does. So we also have we have a team that's older. Some of them have been with us for 10 years and 9 years. So we have a core team, and when someone's new, for example, and they need a lot of training.
Yeah.
So, and I'm involved with every brand. So I make sure that I'm there. Someone from the core team is, part of the brand, and then the person who's newer. So, if there's any issue or any, block that the
escalation is already working on it.
The escalation is already working on it. It takes a lot of energy, but I like to be involved with all my brands, personally.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Like, because you have only so many hours in a day. Yeah. So how are you dividing yourself across all your different brands?
No. I basically, we make quarter plans. So you already know what's meant to go on, which brand. So that kind of helps, a little bit of strategy. And of course, there are fires every day. So you need to keep few hours of the day for that too.
Yeah, is there actually no sleep or no work-life balance, or have you?
No, I actually try to I have a baby, so I try to
balance it out.
But that means really early morning and very late nights. Very late nights for work and very early mornings for the baby.
And I think it's also difficult because in your line of work, you need to attend so many events. There's no you can't create a barrier that you can't even create a barrier that Sunday is mine, because there's so many brand events that happen on a Sunday.
All on weekends. So this weekend was the first weekend in very long where there wasn't any event. Saturday, Sunday, Friday, we still did. So,
but the events are fun.
It's really a lot of fun. But like I said, if you're passionate, you'll find it fun. Or you can look at it and say, oh my God, another late night. I still enjoy it after so many years. It's such a thrill to meet interesting people. I thrive off people's energy, so I love meeting people, having conversations with them, and also when you see what you visualized actually coming to life, that's a high all by itself.
Yeah.
So for me, every event that we do, every launch that we do, And when I see my vision come to life, or so many months of hard work come to life, that's enough of, like, then I'm not looking at my bank balance, I'm like, this is great.
So in this entire 13-year journey that you've had so far, and given how demanding your job truly is, has there ever been a phase of burnout or lots?
Yeah.
How do you pull yourself out of it?
So I actually I use a hypnotherapist a lot of times. I mean, I've used her for the last 12 years. I need to, because it's also very demanding and also causes some amount of health issues, etc. So I believe a lot in mental health. I feel like if your mental health is good, and this is the first time I'm actually talking about it, but I feel like every time I feel a little low, I just go for a session of therapy, and it really helps me, and it really puts me back on track. So it's very important. I know, the thing is, I now know my mind really well. So it really, so I know when I need it. And plus, it could just be 1 hour of walking, even if it's at 12 in the night and you're building. Or it could be yoga or music. So,
right.
In different phases, and depending on how I'm actually feeling, I use different things. Music, yoga, maybe just spending time with your friends, family. So there's no one thing, but one of the major things that's helped me in the last few years has been hypnotherapy.
So you do, make a conscious decision to
100%.
Avoid the burnout, because you've been burnt out before. So now you know
No,
how
I
to.
keep getting burnt out.
Yeah.
I can't make it sound like it's fluffy and fancy. It is. It's very demanding, because your clients demand certain things from you, your team demands certain things from you, and of course then you also have family responsibilities which demand things from you.
I don't think people give enough credit to that. For example, burnout is not just working late nights at the office.
It's the whole balance of it all.
Yeah.
So for me to keep going, every time I feel it, so most of the times it's once in a year or once in 6 months that I go, but I go and it really helps me. It's just, gets me back on track and makes me understand what I'm going through.
100%. Whether it's vacation or... So
vacation, sorry. My biggest thing. So every time I feel I'm super burnt out, I take a vacation.
Nice.
I have to. And sometimes when I'm really short on time, I just get a staycation at Land's End. Literally, I'm in the room with my husband just watching maybe mindless TV, ordering room service, and going for a massage. So that one day also helped me rejuvenate. Thank you for reminding me. But that's one of my biggest things that I've done. Yeah. So, and then depending on how much time I have, I take a break.
So when you're on vacation, what happens to the company? How long can you go on vacation for?
So I've actually gone for 2 months also, but nothing has changed because
you're available on call.
I'm available on call all the time. So wherever I am in the world, I'm always working.
So have you ever switched off then?
Yeah, sometimes it's but for me, I don't need to switch off completely. Yeah. So I'm okay with that. I like to be a little connected. Otherwise, I feel disconnected from life.
Yeah.
No, and I feel as a founder, you also have an own business. Own business FOMO. You don't want to miss out on what's happening, whether it's good or bad. Especially if it's bad, but even if it's good, you want to know everything. So a full switch off is...
Yeah. There are a couple of, I was drafting recently. There's no way I could have checked my phone during that unless I wanted to say bye to my phone. So, that 2 hours or 3 hours, but it was also a weekend, so didn't get too many calls or anything, and it was early in the morning. So, I find my moments, but just checking messages, calls, mails, I'm totally okay with that. I try to avoid it as much, but I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah. So then it's really good if your business is working for 2 months without you, when it's
that
just
was also a little while ago. Now I think 20-25 days right now
is the limit.
That was pre-pandemic. Now post-pandemic, I've never done 2 months, but like a week, 10 days, 20 days. But that's so important.
It's needed.
To just be somewhere else. Like I said, even if it's in a hotel room, ordering room service and watching Netflix and getting a massage, it's so important.
It's a change of scenery as well.
It's a change, and you just need that downtime.
Yeah. No, 100% agree. Okay, so our next game is 2 truths and 1 lie. we want to understand a little bit more about your journey. So whether that's challenges or accomplishments, you need to give us 3 statements, from which 2 statements are the truth and 1 is a lie. And then we have to guess which one is the lie.
It can be related to details, anything.
Yeah.
Let me try.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. You get free food and drinks every time you go out. You get a lot of recognition, like through your work. And the third one is you make a lot of money. Let me see if you can guess.
You get free food and drinks.
I feel like that can be true, given that the number of F&B companies she works
Yeah,
at.
I know a couple of restaurant owners and they keep sending stuff to the table every time I go. So that I think can be true.
I think I'm going to go with the second one's a lie, that you get a lot of recognition.
I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with the second one as well.
No.
The third one?
You get a lot of recognition. That is
Yeah?
true. Yeah, you get a lot of recognition. Like people know you.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't always get free food and drinks.
Oh, that's the lie?
Yeah, because people think, I mean, at my level, yeah, but I'm saying, like, PR does not mean you only get food and
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's fine. I mean, we assume that you're there.
Yeah.
I'm saying agency-wise.
Yeah.
Like, if you're working in an agency.
Yeah. No, I
But
get
there is another lie also. You don't make a lot of money.
Yeah. The way you
I had 2 lies and 1 truth.
No, but I think I would assume, and that's good to know, that recognition is given, but I would have assumed that a lot of times they attributed more to the company than to the agency.
Yeah, no. Like recognition people give you. That's the nicest part about the job. That you actually, a lot of them, of course not everyone, but a lot of people really value you for what you do.
Yeah. And
by recognition, I thought you meant like, for example, like, I don't know, if you walked into a newly opened restaurant today, they would know who you are. Oh, okay, yeah, recognition, of course. I mean, anyone that helps, like, you help people build their company, so they have to give you that recognition. That's fair. Okay, yeah. Yeah, then I don't know why I chose number 2. I'd have definitely gone for number 3 because I know in service agencies the margins are always tough.
Yeah, no, even I thought of the money thing because of the way you said it as well. But I was like, because I mixed the both. Like I thought of it as like people recognizing you, but also like overall being given the recognition
for your work.
Like I think a lot of times it's behind closed doors instead of like out aloud.
No, there's enough articles about you online, so the recognition part is true only actually. Cool, let's go to our next game. So this one's called Red Flags. We're going to give you 3 hypothetical situations. In each situation, there are 2 things that are going great and 1 thing that's a red flag.
Okay.
You need to choose which of these 3 buckets you'd rather be in. No, which one you would rather be in.
Okay, done.
So situation 1 is Detales is working with over 100 clients. You have expanded to 3 other countries, but your latest fashion brand launch event is unsuccessful. Situation 2 is Detales has more than 200 team members. You've just won the contract for the largest hotel group in the world, but one of your team members leaves to start a competitor agency. And situation 3 is a network agency has offered to acquire you. Your revenue is growing at 50% year on year, but you're feeling really demotivated lately. So you can have a look at all the 3 situations. You have to choose one of them to be in.
Situation 2.
Situation 2. Interesting. Why?
Because my team is good enough. Even if one person leaves, it doesn't matter. You can take my contacts. You can't take me. So and it's happened lots of times. So it doesn't matter. Lots of people have taken our lists and taken our database and started their own agencies. But like I said, they couldn't take me. So, situation 2 for sure.
So your decision is purely based on the red flag, not the green.
It's purely on the red flag, yes.
Yeah. Interesting. When we drafted this, I thought you would have picked situation 2 because most people know where they stand in the market.
Exactly.
You expect almost your juniors to leave and start on their own. But after our initial conversation, I thought you might have picked situation 3 because there the red flag is something you know you can pull yourself out of.
Right.
And because you've said, like, you know, you have a method of breaking out of that.
Yes.
But do you consider a network agency
Acquisition.
acquiring you a red flag or a green flag?
Right.
Yes, I think that's the situation.
That's the reason,
creation.
because I feel like right now we are all hard, and I feel like anyone coming in. So I've been offered, to be acquired multiple times, and also for investors to come in multiple times. But I know that will also change the ethos of the company. It's not going to be all hard time. It's going to be all revenue.
Yeah.
It's
At that point, you can't do the piti ke ye mein kar leti.
Yeah.
And for me, I think I just love what I do. So I think that's the most important.
No, fair enough. But yeah, then moving on to our final segment, which is the rapid fire. So self-explanatory, we're going to ask you questions and you have to give us quick and rapid answers. How many days of leave have you taken in the last year?
I can't count because it never feels like a leave somehow.
Fair.
So no
Um,
idea.
your proudest moment with Details.
Proudest moment with Details. I don't think there's been one moment, but like I said, every brand success just feels like my personal proud moment and a proud moment for Details. Like every time a brand does well, it's a proud moment for me.
What was the one time you felt like you let Details down?
When I let Details down. I hope that's never happened. Yeah, but maybe when I've, I guess, not been 100%, mentally, but then I've pulled up like immediately. So, I've not been able to give like my most creative ideas or been my creative best. So I think,
Fair enough. What's a brand you really want to work with?
I now want to work with all the biggest tourism boards and the biggest hotels. So there's not a particular brand, but a lot. So this year, that's the focus. A lot of hotel chains and cool boutique hotels and tourism boards, like travel.
Nice.
I'm putting it out into the universe and onto your show.
Perfect. What is the scrappiest thing that you've done to build your business?
I think my growth plan.
Your emotion when you first fired someone.
I cried.
Fair enough.
During the process or after?
No, after. I just can't.
Fair.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. And like, was it built up?
It was.
Yeah. What did you do with your first profit?
I think I went on a vacation. That's what I think I did, yeah.
Books or podcasts?
Books.
iPad or notebook?
Notebook.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Both.
And your favorite social media platform?
My favorite social media platform, Instagram.
Okay. But yeah, that concludes the rapid fire segment, bringing us almost to the end of the conversation. We ask every guest to ask our next guest a question. So we're first going to ask you, or a previous guest is going to ask you their question.
Sure.
What is the favorite part of your day as a founder of your brand?
It changes every day, but the favorite part of my day would be the events that we do. So, like I said, anything
Seeing
that
it culminate in
seeing your vision come to reality, I think that would be my favorite part of the day.
Nice.
Or when a client calls and says, hey, something that you did really worked for me and I've grown. I think that also happens. So it doesn't happen every day. I'm sure. But that would also like make my day or be the favorite part of my day.
Super cool.
Fair enough.
Tripti, thank you so much for giving us your time. Coming here today.
It was actually super fun.
Yeah, you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been one of my most fun interviews. Everything else has been about me balancing like motherhood and details. So I'm really happy. It's refreshing for me also to not talk about motherhood and details.
No, thank you so much.
Thank
it was
you.
great having
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.